Sonic the Hedgehog 3. We are now into the third movie of the Sonic franchise. This time around in Sonic Movie 3, we are following the trio Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, all enjoying their life on Earth in Green Hills until a new hedgehog arrives named Shadow. Together, the team must come together to stop this new foe in their path. And that's all pretty much without any spoilers, you guys. This will be a spoiler-free review, but you can betcha patootie we are gonna have to talk spoilers whenever the movie releases, because wow, did they actually save a lot from those trailers. And well, look, it's been no secret, I'm a big Sonic fan. This is a guy who got in costume, went to a Sonic convention, and asked this to a stranger there.
Now, super weird request, and it's okay if you say no. Okay, I point a gun at you.
Yeah, I was never allowed back after that. Just kidding. Sonic fans are cool. This is what she did.
Super weird request, and it's okay if you say no. Okay, I point a gun at you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I mean, man. The Sonic fandom, we were dealt a dirty hand whenever the first movie came out, because we all saw that design, and we like to reminisce back on that is how the franchise started and how far we have come. And for a lot of people, it felt like this is the movie we were leading to, the one we were waiting for, where you've introduced the main characters, you now have Shadow thrown in there. Really, please don't mess this up. And walking out of the movie, buddy, I immediately bought tickets to see it again. Now look, the movie isn't without its issues, and there are some things some people are not going to be able to let go, but starting off with the positives, baby, this movie delivered. I was smiling, grinning ear to ear throughout the entirety of this movie. Not only is it visually stunning, in a day and age where we complain so much about CGI, visual effects, and things like that in modern movies, the Sonic films have it locked down. This is not a movie where I'm walking out going, ugh, that scene was kind of bad, or oh, the hedgehogs could have looked better. To me, these guys are real. They exist. They have them locked away in some room and bust them out whenever another movie needs to be made. But all specifically on Shadow, man, because every frame this guy is in, he just looked fantastic. I was just talking about how far we have come from the Meow design to what is going on now, but we are actually reaping the benefits of what this franchise has gone through all in the third movie. Because I think we owe a big thank you to Jeff Fowler and the team behind the Sonic films, because this franchise has evolved in such a rich way. That first Sonic movie is still enjoyable, but that was the formulaic, take a famous character, throw them into the real world, and have some hijinks ensue. And from there to where we are now in Sonic 3, they have injected actual mythology from the video games. They've incorporated a lot of Easter eggs, introduced new characters, taken time away from the human characters, and made the video game characters the actual main characters of their movie. Sonic 3 is now looking more like a standard for how to adapt video games into movies, as opposed to being another crappy movie in the bunch. One of my favorite things about Sonic 3 is the way it balances its characters. The humans are put more on the back burner. You still get some sequences with them, but this is definitely the least involved they have been. When looking at the CGI characters from Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic, I was so happy that they gave each one a moment to shine and to highlight what makes them fun, unique characters. Sonic being the speedster and leader, Knuckles being the muscle, with Tails being the tech head and providing a couple gadgets along the way, all actually being useful to the plot. And you know, I was actually starting to like some of the human characters they involved, and I felt like it was just the right amount of inclusion. Even the way they go about bringing back like Rachel, a controversial original character for this movie, the way she is brought into the movie and the small role she plays, I thought fit well for people who want to see that character while also connecting things that have happened in previous movies. But the one human character you do want to see a lot of that is working double time, Jim Carrey as both Robotnik and Gerald Robotnik. I am just the biggest Jim Carrey simp. He is the guy that got me even interested in films as a kid, and nowadays we just do not get enough Jim Carrey zaniness on screen. So part of the reason I love these movies so much is because I get to see Jim Carrey just go all wackied out. And yeah, he is the funniest part of the movie in both Ivo and Gerald. I really dug their relationship. There's a great theme in the movie about legacy and how you were brought up in the world and how that made you into the person you are today. And Robotnik's arc in this is that he grew up without a family, and so finally meeting his grandpapa and what that meant for his character and and where that story goes, I just really enjoy. Even also how his newfound relationship affects his old relationship with Agent Stone. Believe it or not, that was actually one of the most emotional parts of this movie for me. And that's just another glowing positive to the way they've handled this Sonic universe, because Agent Stone, that's an original character, and he is actually also given more to do in this movie. He interacts with characters I wasn't expecting, even gets a pretty cool action scene. Just one of the many nice payoffs you'll get that they've built up across the trilogy. But the character I was most nervous about and I needed them to handle right is Shadow. And I am going to say, for the most part, I thought they delivered. There's definitely going to be a bias with me knowing the origin of Shadow the Hedgehog. Being a fan of that for so long and then finally witnessing it on the big screen was a little surreal. Like, there were just moments I had seen a dozen times, whether in video games or in cartoon form, and to just see a lot of those similar moments actually play out in live action, it had me geeking. You can tell that was something serious that they wanted to handle right into the movie, because that is mainly handled with real weight and not as much silly humor that this movie has. Part of me does wish we got a little bit more fleshing out or got to spend more time with it, but oh well. And I guess getting off the point of them doing the video game story justice, the amount of details, again, when it comes to Easter eggs or references from the video game or injecting in the lore, these guys are tapped in and are definitely listening to what Sonic fans are saying online, because yeah, there were so many point at the screen moments, whether it's Shadow holding his gun, exact positions from video games like Sonic Adventure 2, even memes that people have brought up over the years, like they are on those same message boards and videos online of us theorizing. And while sometimes that stuff can come off a little fan servicey or pushing the line, I felt it was more on a level of respect of, hey, you guys have been with us through 2 movies. This is the 3rd one, and we just want to give you what you want to see. None of it came off tacky or cheap. Like, I felt it was earned and super satisfying to see. And when getting on to super satisfying, buddy, the last 30 minutes, the entire 3rd act of this movie, I don't want to overhype it, but jaw to the ground, eyes wide. That is the main reason I want to go see this movie again. For a moment, we thought maybe they showed too much in the trailers, and yeah, maybe there is a little too much, but the sequences they did not show us, and the things you will see in those last 30 minutes, oh, I melted with joy and excitement. The big battle that is teased in the trailers between Sonic and Shadow, yeah, it is straight out of a Dragon Ball Z fight sequence, and as a big Dragon Ball Z guy, take this as a note that we finally have the technology to make those movies, because wow, the action was so fluid, so fun, gave me goosebumps. People who are just casual fans of Sonic and have only maybe checked out the movies, they're gonna like that. But if you're at all a fan of Sonic, played one video game, and enjoy the character of Shadow or Sonic, dude, you're gonna explode watching this. And that's honestly how I felt at times, because the highs of this movie are just about that high for me. But okay, bringing me back down to earth and being honest with you about some of the things I do feel hold this movie back, to where some people will walk out liking the movie, but these specific things held them back from loving it. Just like the highs of this movie are so epic and grand, so come the silliness and the humor of the film. I think that is going to become the ultimate crutch and the ultimate downfall of this franchise, because they're not going to stop. There's a big tease at the end of this, which we'll have to talk later in spoilers. And boy, am I game for what they tease, but I'm also like, don't run into the issue where the humor becomes so large and distracting that you really start to take away from some of the cooler story points you could go. Because, yeah, there are times you are handling some really great Sonic lore. The backstory of Shadow, this relationship between Ivo and Gerald, some rather emotional and touching moments for Sonic himself, and then you have some like extremely silly, over-the-top stuff that brings it down. I get this is a family brand. It's a kid's movie. And that's totally fine, but reel back some of the silliness. I enjoy the bits and humor, but I think mainly a lot of that comes because I just love Jim Carrey that much, and I think almost anything that comes out of his mouth makes me laugh. But there are for sure things with this movie because of such the fast pace, and you're jumping from action scene to action scene, joke to joke, literally sometimes stopping the movie just to do full-on skits or even winks to the literal audience, it breaks the tension from some of the cooler things in this movie. Now, I'm not gonna say it was ever as bad as some of those previous stopping the story humor points of the last Sonic movie. And what I mean by that is take the entire wedding scene of Sonic 2, one of the biggest controversial parts of that film. I think that got a lot of flack because it was stopping the story to focus on these original characters that really mean nothing to the overall Sonic universe. Or when the world is at stake and like Sonic and Shadow are stopping at a bar just so that they can perform in a dance-off. In Sonic 3, some of the stopping points and crazy silly things that go on, I think they're going to be less tedious because they're with characters you really like and enjoy, mainly Gerald and Ivo. But I just know I was held back a time or two in this movie when there was emotional weight. There was the opportunity for real tears, real sadness to form in me, but because of these stopping, super silly moments, it pulls you out a little bit. So that'll be the biggest thing. But I think because the movie has so many high, outstanding, amazing moments, those things aren't really going to ruin the film for you. They didn't ruin it for me, but I think some people won't be able to let that silliness go. I will also say, I think once the movie is settled and time is taken away from how awesome Shadow as a character was in this movie, there is going to be a talk about Keanu's performance. I love Keanu Reeves. I think what he does in John Wick and other movies is really stellar, but let's not forget, there was a time, I remember, because it's been kind of nice to see him go from like the guy that was constantly hated in movies to now people just get so excited and hype when he's a part of projects, because really Keanu in real life just seems like the nicest guy. But there are moments where that Keanu form of delivering dialogue comes off a little wooden, a little stiff. I think it's something that could be worked on, but you guys will see in the movie as things progress. There are some times where it's like, oh, would have liked that to have a little bit more punch. Would have liked that to have a little bit more emotion behind it. And yeah, maybe that's a hot take. I know people are just going to love Shadow no matter what, but that's just me being honest. Doesn't ruin the character Shadow in the movie. Still the best and coolest part of this thing. But honestly, that's really about it when it comes to negatives. There are some conveniences with the plot and little things throughout the story where you're like, I don't know if that would actually happen like that. But it's all things that can just be so overlooked with how much fun, how much energy, and how badass this movie is at times. I really hope the franchise only goes higher from here and can continue to keep this momentum of awesomeness, because it would be such a shame if this is where it peaks and it's just kind of downhill from here. Please don't let it be downhill from here. So when it comes to Sonic Movie 3, I'm gonna give action 4.5 stars. I was loving the action sequences they have thrown out. It's also a huge benefit that there really is a lot of action throughout the film. It's very well paced and the story is constantly moving, but it is those last 30 minutes, man, that I cannot wait to experience again. Commenting the movie, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Look, Sonic as a character does say a joke every 5 seconds, and his ratio of laughs isn't as high as you would like, but it's Jim Carrey, to me, that really makes this thing so hilarious, so funny. Even with some of the over-the-top, super silly things, I couldn't help but to giggle, even if it brought the tone of the movie down. Drama in the movie, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. I felt with the time they were given, the amount of characters, the handling of Shadow's backstory at least was treated seriously. Plus the theme of loss and how they connect that to Sonic's story, Robotniks' story, really brought for some nice arcs by the end of the movie. Heart in the movie, I'll give no stars to. It's a PG family-friendly movie. Shadow is more badass than scary. And suspense in the movie, I will give it 3.5 stars. There are some things that happen towards the last 30 minutes where I genuinely didn't know what was going to go down, how they were going to resolve things, and who would be walking out of here alive. Casual moviegoers, I'm going to give this an A-. Cinephiles, I'm going to give it an A+. And critically, I'm going to give it a B+. Look, if you're someone that is willing to put the silliness and quirky things aside, the highs and fun and action of this movie, to me, makes me feel like they delivered. So this deserves the 3C guarantee. Admittedly, like I said, I'm biased as a Sonic fan, but at the end of the day, it just made me smile so hard and want to go back to the theater to experience it again, and that's when you know a movie's done it. I can't wait to hear your guys' opinions on Sonic Movie 3, what you loved, what you didn't love, and stay tuned for whenever we talk spoilers, baby. 2 post-credit scenes. Stay for both of them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.